So what's up, everybody? It's me, True Star Screamer. And it's been a long time. Man, this has been a crazy month, let me tell you. So, sorry it's been a bit. Work has been killing me, and while I've been getting a lot of stuff, I just haven't had time to actually show you that stuff. And this review, guys, I'm being a little selfish. This review is for me. That's right, this is the Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi MAZINGER Z. MAZINGER Z. Or Tranzor Z if you're an old guy like me. I love Japanese super robots. I've got a number of super robot Chigokens. That's right, SRC Mazinger figures. I love a lot of the Mazinger stuff, especially like the Mazinkaiser and the Mazinkaiser SKL stuff. I love that shit. I wish they would do another SKL. Anyway, I digress. I haven't bought a Revoltech figure in a while. Really, it's been ages, and I love the ones that I have. But let me tell you, when I saw they were doing a Mazinger, I had to. They're overpriced. Plain and simple. These guys are overpriced. But I did not care. I bought this guy. I ordered him. He arrived from BBTS. And here we are going to talk about him today. So, prepare your rocket punches, your breast of fires, your rust breaths, and all that other fun stuff. Let's talk giant robots. Because I dig them. I hear chicks dig them too.
Nice!
So this is the initial tray. Pretty much shows you everything we got here. We've got we got Mazinger, we've got the Jet Scrambler, we get some effects, and bladed gauntlets, that was I think more of a great Mazinger thing if I remember. But yeah, that's it. I'm a little let down here, not gonna lie. But let's get this guy out of this prison. And of course we also get display stands, because Revoltech has those. So, I'm gonna say it, I'm a little underwhelmed, especially for what I paid for this guy. We've got Mazinger out of the package. And sorry, if you guys hear a buzzing sound, I apologize. I've got an exhaust fan I just hooked up for my resin printer. So, if that is too much of an issue, I will work on finding a way of muffling that. This is my first recording with that fan on. So let me know in the comments if you do hear it. I'm kind of curious about that. Anyway, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about this guy. Honestly. There's things that are very kind of cool. They actually do one thing with this figure that none of my robot Chigokens do with any of their Mazingers, which is kind of neat. But there's other things that I just honestly am not a fan of. Probably the biggest one has to be the hinge tolerance on this arm. It is just floppy. And I'm trying to see where I could possibly put some Kiki in there to tighten it up, because it's an interesting design. This is not, again, your normal Revoltech figure. This is not using Revoltech joints, which is rather interesting, to be honest. The closest is maybe the hip joints here. That's about it. If the ankles have them, I can't tell. The build of it is light. It is plastic, so as opposed to the robot Chigokens, the SRCs, they have die cast in them, hence the Chigoken, the super alloy. Getting him to stand in a regular vanilla pose is actually rather difficult. You see these joint tolerances. You can already see that's loosening up too. I'm trying to get him to stand. These ankles do not give me a lot of, honestly, a lot of wiggle room. You know, and like if this plastic was cut a little bit more, I'd be able to get the ankle to go better. Unless I'm missing something on how to adjust it. So that's a little frustrating, to be honest. I mean, I know it's a Revoltech, supposed to have them in dynamic poses, but sometimes the shelf just doesn't give you room for that. Plus, you know, well, this guy would be walking, Mazinger would be walking into battle or running into battle. He still has to do the heroic poses before he does his attacks. Regular articulation. We've got basically like a swivel here. It's not a true butterfly joint. Well, there is actually a butterfly joint, but it's not like your action figure one. So this just slides to the back and forth. The hinge here goes up and down. One thing also is the shoulder does not get out of the way, but the breastplates do, which is good and bad, because I've had other figures where they're able to kind of bunch up together, but instead these move up and down. So if I want to bring the arm across, well, you can see it kind of, everything has to fold in and it bunches up. Single jointed elbow, but it is deep. Is it single? Yeah, that is single jointed elbow, but it is deep. Double jointed on the knee. I like how that actually is a really nice looking knee. No drop down hip. Regular hip, you kind of Revoltech hip joint without the clickies. The waist, it has a torso twist, but not as much of a waist twist. Deep ab crunch. Can go back like this. And yeah, that's a problem right there. Let me tell you. Because this also pops out pretty easy. Now I got the breast fire plate off. Is that supposed to be a hinge in there? It's hard to tell. But that pops off, and I've had this shoulder joint pop off a couple times. So yeah, the build is not one of the best. And again, I got this from Big Bad Toy Store. This guy was like $90. Right in itself, I can say I'm not quite feeling all the value there. And then we get the accessories. For his accessories, one, we get the Tree of Hands, which is always kind of cool. I'm not sure what we would have gotten, but we had space for another tree. I mean, for another pair of hands. But you get your grippy hands, you get your flying in the air, choppy hands. You get your holding something hands, but he doesn't have anything to hold. And then you get your dramatic gesturing hands, which are pretty cool. I always like that hand. It's always been one of my favorites. Next, though, we get is an interesting one. We get two of these. And this one actually made me really smile, because in every Mazinger figure that I've owned, nothing quite has this effect. I'll go ahead and do this in real time, but one of his attacks was that he would fold his arms back, and there'd be a rack of missiles in his upper arm. And there has never, in none of the figures that I have seen, at least with the SRCs, the Super Robot Chigokins. Don't know if the Super Chigokin had that, but none of them illustrated this attack of him launching the rockets from his arm. So I always thought that actually is very cool. That is one thing that this figure has done that none of the others in my collection can do. Though it is, you got to plug and play it, but I like that he can do that. Next, for his rocket, he actually has a rocket punch effect. So once again, we just unplug the arm from the port, and we actually get a flame effect, or a jet engine effect that plugs into the back of this. I'm not going to break them out because I'm going to lose them, but he does have an actual, there's a ring piece that slides between here and the fist that allows this to mount onto a display stand. So you could actually, in theory, have it launched out, have that port on here, and have this floating on a display stand. I like and dislike this because it does kind of lose the immersion, because for me to have the display stand floating here, obviously, you'll see the display stand. But I do like that this can show from a distance. One of the things that the Bandai figures had was they actually had an effect that would actually port into the socket almost like that, which I thought that was really neat. And I kind of find that a little superior, but just because, you know, you gotta, again, you'll be seeing the stand. Then we get 2 of the gauntlet blades here. I get why they did what they did, but at the same time, I find this a little, I don't want to say lazy, but more cheap, because you have to pry the top plate from the arm here and basically replace the 2, where a little bit more plastic and I could have just gotten 2 alternate arm sockets, to be honest. And I think I would have preferred that, just having 2 just new forearms in general. They are coded specific left and right, and both the gauntlet plates will show that they're the left or right plate. But my biggest concern is this is friction. So this just presses in together. So if you do the switch out a lot, it eventually will probably get loose. And so the long-term effect is not the best. Does look cool though. It definitely does look cool. And finally we have the jet scrander. So this is his jetpack, which, if I remember, the wings go... It's kind of weird. So when he flies, the wings will go like this. When it flies in. So that would basically fly up to him. They'd be running and it would jump up. And then there's a port on his back that comes out here. And this flips up. And this will connect via both the port and the belt here. Which the belt is kind of interesting. It splits in half. That'll go around his torso and then port into here. So let me go ahead and get that set up. I had to use a spudger to pop this out, and this is little, and it went flying into the carpet. So make sure you don't lose this. But again, I used the spudger to flip this up. So we'll take the belt. Get that around his torso here. Girdle him up. And this is honestly not that easy. I'm not gonna lie. This could be a bit more intuitive. Okay, we're gonna have to do this off camera. Well, I was putting that on upside down, so that was not helping. But still, getting that on here, this kept popping loose. I must have popped that off 3 times. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze, as they say. You also get a couple of these jet effects. I think Iron Man came with a bunch of these. This will just port up into the jet scrander engines right in here. So you can pop them up there, as well as the underside of the feet. That's kind of neat. For the wings, they're actually reversible, so you can pop this out, flip it up, invert it like so, flip them around, and you can kind of get to have the wings more of a raised look, which honestly this would be how I would display him, which I think looks actually pretty damn cool. So you get the 4 jet effects. You do get the various stand effects. Stand adapters again for the fist. Also, I think there is one to have him fly vertically, horizontally, which is kind of cool. But it's a Revoltech stand, which unfortunately is not the strongest. And so it's like, this is fine. It's a good Mazinger figure, but it's not a great Mazinger figure. Okay, nor is it a figure of great Mazinger, but that's a whole different joke. You get some neat stuff with it, but there's some things I kind of wish that he would have that I've gotten with my other figures. So how can I put this, guys? I don't feel like I'm getting my value out of this figure, unfortunately. And that is never a fun thing to say. Like I mentioned before, it's not, he's got some things going for him. I love that he's got that missile effect for his forearm. I do like the bladed arm here, though, like I said, it should have just been a whole separate forearm unto itself. How they handle the rocket punch is actually pretty neat. But, like I said, I've got other Mazinger figures. One of the neat things that the other Mazinger figures have, they also come with a hand that has him holding the head of a Robeast called the Garuda, which is kind of like a famous thing that the Mazinger always rips the Garuda's head off. Now, with the Super Robot Chogokin, the whole Jet Scrander was an add-on pack, which also had the missile effects and all. But I really think it absolutely made the figure, and I really like how Bandai handled the rocket punch effects by actually having the plug-in feature to it. I hate to say this, one of the biggest things that bothers me is the fact that it's difficult getting him into a flat-footed position. The limitation on the ankles is a pain, and I think if they went with the more traditional Revoltech joints, that would not be an issue. I know they made a Mazinger, I just never got the Revoltech Mazinger back in the day. I got the Getter Robo, I got the Neo Getter Robo, I got the Shin Getter Robo, I got a whole lot of Getter Robos, but I did not get the Mazingers, go figure. But if you are jonesing for a Mazinger in your collection, it'll do the trick. There are just better ones out there. Better ones have been made. This is not the worst thing I've handled, but I can't say I'm feeling my money's worth out. See that tilting? This is driving me nuts. I should not have to try to break out a display stand just to get to get a figure like this to stand. I'm sorry. That drives me crazy. But as I was saying, it's... Yeah, oh, the Pilder, the little jet, that is not removable. The Bandai ones, that was. You could actually get one to make it look like you're doing the landing sequence. It's just, other figures have done this figure better. And I own them. So, maybe I'll put this guy on eBay up. You can buy mine. I'm not sure. But, if you don't have one, feel free to buy this guy. If you already have a Mazinger of this scale, I would say be happy with what you have and not buy any of the further ones. If they do any more super robots, I honestly am probably going to pass on them. So, maybe I'm also done with Revoltech. You know, gotta start drawing the line somewhere. And this might be that line in the sand. But let me know your thoughts down below. Am I being too critical? Am I not being critical enough? You know the drill. Is that being picked up by the microphone? Let me know. I'll work on that for the next video because I got stuff to talk about. I still have those Acid Rain 112 figures I want to break out for you guys. They're pretty neat. Spoiler. But you tell me what you want. You tell me what you... Let me know your thoughts. That's what it's for down below. Give this video a like. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,000. And as always, my friends, until next time, take care. Peace.